No cheers for you. No one else cares cheers for you. Guys, at 7:15. I saw the cars turning into the parking lot. They took out most of the meniscus in my left knee. I tore it last October, so I haven't been able to really use my knee until after the surgery. And about 2 weeks ago, it's finally like good. Actually got the narrow scar figured out. What do you want me to say? One guy just showed up at 7. I've always been a focus on
People have. How are you?
All right, how you been?
I'm good, thank you.
The first question is, what year was White David Eisenhower looking there with his trivia? Thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate this excellent turnout. We get this every time, but first I would like you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Normal secretary, actually, she's ill, so we're filling in for it's going to be Heather Collins. If you would establish the form, please.
Mike Barnwell,
Here.
Mickey Boyd,
Here.
Heather Collins here, Tiffany Becker, here, Barry Gardner,
Here.
Don Harmon,
Here.
Alan Lucas,
Here.
Chris Smith.
Here. Thank you, and we'll move right on into the secretary.
Can I have the motion to approve the minutes from the July 15th, 2019 meeting? Make a motion.
Got a motion, need a second? I'll second. Got a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Treasurer's report.
So far this fiscal year, we've collected 83% of the dues, and you can see that in section 6 on the back. That's the equivalent of 1,908 assessments out of the 2,309 that we assessed. If you continue down, I know we've had some questions about the reserve balance. So if you look on section 11, I'm going to go through a little bit just so you can understand a little more. So we contributed $56,203, and that's what we contribute to our reserve each month. In addition to that, we spent $41,141 on capital expenditures, and you can see that in section 10 over on the capital spending, and I can go through those details in just a second. But if you continue down, you see with the CDs, the total we have $1,549,281. All of that is considered reserve funds, but a lot of that is earmarked for other things. So I wanted just to clarify on that. So you'll see below that we deferred last year $137,000. And those are for capital expenditures that we're saving a little bit for the next coming years so we can make the big purchase or the big irrigation system or something like that. So that's what the deferred funds are. So below that, from this fiscal year, we've deferred $215,000. So both of those numbers can technically be subtracted from that 1.5 million because those are deferred funds already called for, okay? Now, if you move over to the right side under capital spending, you see we still have $683,190 earmarked for capital expenditures for the rest of this year as well. So if you were to subtract that as well from the 1.5, total as of right now, we have $476,091, including CDs, that is reserved. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to clarify that. I know last meeting we had a couple of questions on what's actually reserve money versus capital spending and a few things like that. So I just wanted to break it down a little further. And if that was too much for you, I can meet with you after and go through it again.
I think part of the confusion too was over the fact that we use the term reserve and for a number of reasons that were explained to me by our accountant. But in reserve, we have restricted and unrestricted. Unrestricted is basically our operating funds. Just kind of simplify it. Restricted is what we're setting back for a rainy day. So if you look at the value of the reserve CDs, 477,632. That's restricted. That's what we're setting back in the event we had another flood or some other catastrophic event.
Okay, moving to the first page. So favorable year to date, and I'm on section 1 over to the far right, but one column in. So we're in a favorable variance by $10,434 for revenue. Cost of sales is above budget by $7,384. A lot of that is due to the restaurant and just the cost of goods that was budgeted for. Moving down to payroll, we're under budget by $43,643. A lot of that is from, we originally budgeted for a full-time in-house counsel, but we ended up getting Lynn. And she's doing a fantastic job, but we ended up saving some money on that by not having a full-time person in-house. And then as well as some other vacant positions that weren't filled. So all that money should move to the bottom line. Operating expenses were under budget by $9,345. Some of that's due to timing, and then a few of the departments did go over budget, but several went under. So we're good on that. And so at the very bottom, the net income is good variance by $56,038.
Any questions? Yeah, Bill?
Heather, could we not easily do another account listing where we just break out the reserves for restricted and unrestricted, so it's a little bit clearer going forward? Sure. But that's an important, I mean, the reserves are a big portion of our.
It'll help people, I think it'll help people understand it better.
Yeah, I think so.
The number she gave, 43,000 that were good on the payroll, that's through July. We anticipate that number to grow as we go each and every month because we had budgeted for in-house attorneys. We're saving a considerable amount of money now. The direction that we went on counselor as well as her staff versus we had almost a full-time paralegal, and we were also having to pay for the legal sources that they used during the course of their job. So we saved a considerable amount of money there, and you're going to see that number grow as we get further and further into the fiscal year as far as savings. President's report. Recently, your board of directors made the decision to lease our country club to a very successful businessman who lives within our community. He has an in-depth level of experience and knowledge regarding restaurant operations. Much thought and discussion were put into this decision. During the past 18 months, a concentrated effort has been made by many people to drive the country club complex into a revenue-producing entity. Improvements were made in many areas: service, food quality, cost of goods and service, just to name a few. Yet even though recently we had two of the biggest months ever for producing revenue, we still lost an unacceptable amount of money. With that in mind, your board decided it was time to try another direction. Please keep in mind this train of thought was not new. About a year ago, we publicly put forth a request for proposal to find a leaser for the country club. We got no responses. Roughly 7 weeks ago, we were approached by Federico Jimenez, the current leaser of the marina, with a proposal. Nearly 4 weeks of closed-door negotiations ensued between the parties involved. There were several reasons for the need of private negotiations. If the negotiations failed, we did not want to destroy the progress that had been made in the country club operation to this point by demoralizing the working staff. If they succeeded, we wanted to tell the staff that for many of them, their jobs would see little, if any, detrimental effect, as that was a facet of the negotiations. We did not want false rumors and innuendo circulating throughout the community. At best, we were marginally effective in that effort. The main driver in this direction was fiduciary responsibility to the association. The move has the potential to release a considerable sum annually back into our capital expenditures for infrastructure improvements and repairs. Barring any outside generated demands, we are also hoping to stabilize POA fees for the next 3 to 5 years. All of this is predicated upon the success of the country club's new leaser, Federico Jimenez and his father, Daniel. It is in the best interest of all involved parties that this is a highly successful effort. Please be patient during the changeover, as I'm sure there will be some hiccups along the way, but please patronize the country club and let's do our part to make this a highly successful joint venture. Are there any questions on that?
When's this gonna happen?
1 September. That announcement was made to the community some time back. Once the decision was made and the contract was signed, that morning about 8:30, the contract was signed. At 9:30, there was a meeting up here with the general manager, myself, and Heather, with all the employees to explain to them what was going to happen. Then we met with leadership from all the different clubs that meet in here, to include the ladies club, the card players, the domino players, et cetera, because this will not negatively impact them. We wanted them to hear that first before the announcement went out to the general public, to us. And then finally that afternoon, after we had talked to Allison, then called in our managers and spoke to them, let them know what was getting ready to happen. Then that afternoon, roughly 3 o'clock, we sent an announcement out to the community. But we didn't want, for instance, the employees hearing it, thought it was the right thing to do, to talk to them first. All right, operations report.
The 25th annual meeting will be Saturday, September 1st at Sandhill Elementary School. Registration and voting will begin at 9 a.m. with the meeting starting at 10. Annual meeting packets were mailed out last Friday. If you do not receive your packet by August 23rd, please contact the POA office. And that packet, of course, has the proxy, the board booklets, and all of that in it. Road paving is currently suspended at the moment, waiting on Carroll County Water Authority to complete work on Longleaf Drive. The paving company will return to pave Longleaf and repair several additional patches throughout the community. With recreation, the summer season is slowly coming to an end. The hours of amenities as of August 19th is as follows. The country club pool is open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily, closing for the season October 1st. The rec center is weekends only right now, and it's open at 10 on Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., closing for the season September 3rd, which is the day after Labor Day. And the beach currently is open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily, closing for the season October 1st. And then I touched on the restaurant and operations report as well. As you may have heard, the country club restaurant has been leased to Federico Jimenez. This lease will begin September 1st. That is a successful businessman with several local restaurants in the area, including Dockside Marina here in Fairfield. He has the POA's full support in this endeavor. So you'll see us advertising. In an effort to not disturb his business, the open POA meetings, which is this meeting right now, will be moving back to the Recreation Center. This will begin in October at the October open meeting that is scheduled October 21st. So
this will be the last meeting we will have at the country club, but we will send plenty of correspondence out reminding everybody that we're moving into the
All right, thank you. Old business, all we had was the executive session. We had a motion to approve the leasing of the country club. We held a special board meeting for that. We voted to approve it, and I'm now giving you the details. New business. You don't have any. I think everybody wants to get to the question and answer section. Lot management. You have it.
I'll make a motion to sell lot 3246 Lakeview Park. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the sale is approved. All right, that's it. Committee reports, this is not a normal month for committee reports. Does anybody have something? Barry?
Okay, busy season for our mailing company. The POA document got out first, but also out there in the mail right now is the packet for the declaration of restrictions. That should have gone out about the same time. If you don't have that by the 23rd of August, please let the POA know. But the updated package contains a summary of the changes to the DOR, frequently asked questions, an instructional letter, the requested ballot, and a copy of the complete DOR. As we know, this DOR's importance to the future of Fairfield. Our current DOR was written in 1970 and does not reflect the current needs of Fairfield Plantation. The update is needed to enable Fairfield Plantation to remain a robust, growing community, make necessary improvements to infrastructure and the amenities, and to protect your investment. So please review the DOR. If you have questions, please contact the Document Management Committee at docs@fairfieldplantation.com. As I said, if you don't have the DOR packet by this Friday, the 23rd, please contact the POA office. And I'll say it again, the future of Fairfield is in your hand. Please cast your vote by returning the ballot in the self-addressed envelope by September the 30th, 2019. If it comes off, the Document Management Committee and myself will thank you dearly. Thank you.
All right, Chris?
Just to give you a quick update on the fire report for our Fairfield Fire Department. For the month of July, there were 45 calls, which is actually, if we like to see this, is more than what it was in the previous year for the same time of last year. This year was 45 calls. Last year we had 53, and the year before that we had 54. So that's one of the things that we like to see is that the call volume does come down. The other thing is that for the year, in 2017, we had 328 calls. 2018, we had 325 calls, and so far for this year, for July, we're at 325. So you can see how it's just right there, everything right there, about the same every year after year. But hats off to our volunteer fire department and our paid firefighters, and also our fire chief for the good job that they're doing in our community. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, moving on.
I would briefly like to thank all the, excuse me, all the people that did work on food and beverage. This is my first year on it, but we've had several members there that worked on food and beverage for years and years. And I would like to take my hat off to them and thank them for all the work they did do over the years. And I do appreciate them. Anyway, thank you.
And there will be a spa report in the Plantation Press that will give all the details for spa's activities for the last month. All right, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. We'll move into the question and answer period. First up is Don Kay.
The open forum. That's yours.
Yeah, that's where we are, right? No, this is a sign-up sheet for open forum. Is this the questions for the, or is this the questions for the board?
Board open forum.
She said it's about board members. She wanted that. It's about the open forum. It's the open forum. The open forum is separate than the. Yeah, that's what she would. And that's what we're doing now. Yes, we're doing open forum. Yeah.
I just want to express my displeasure at certain decisions that the POA board has made on behalf of the residents of Fairfield. I think it is inappropriate to hire the law firm that employs a daughter of one of the board members. Having a part-time person will affect the assessment collection. I'm disappointed that the restaurant was leased without a committee of the board and residents. And not even a survey to have our input. I still think it was a bad decision to hire a general manager that didn't have any experience or a degree to run a multi-million-dollar entity. I thought that the board received the message that the residents wanted to vote on each major point in the proposed declarations of restrictions instead of an all-or-nothing vote.
Does anybody have anything you want to add to that? Let me address some of it. First off, let's address the general counsel issue. The previous general counsel resigned. When she did, we had to replace her. We put out an RFP. We've got feedback from several people. 3, I believe, if I remember correctly. 2 of them from out of state that wanted an arm and a leg. They wanted relocation fees. They wanted a lot of money. We had somebody in the area that has a wealth of background for this type of operation. We had the opportunity to get that attorney at a huge cost savings. And actually, even though she is part-time, productivity has gone up. On top of that, the comment about collection of fees, we are running almost exactly where we did last year. So as far as the impact that it had is we're saving ourselves a lot of money, and we got a more robust capability. I will argue that fact with anyone. Now, what was the other? General manager. General manager, we got a gym. The general manager has outperformed, and I can show you statistics to back this up. The last 2 general managers, she has saved us a tremendous amount of money. It's kind of hard to put your finger on exactly and say she did this, she did that the others didn't do. I'll give you one example that comes to mind real quick. The fuel tanks at the marina. She took that bull by the horn, something that had been ignored by the last 2 general managers. She went down to the state headquarters downtown and worked and argued and got us out of roughly $50,000 worth of fines. Cleaned it up, and now it's running smoothly and tracking like it's supposed to. That's one thing. That's just one. And I see it every day. There are numerous things. So I don't mind accusations, but I sure would appreciate it if there was some basis for them. Next. Judy Harrelson.
I just wanted Barry to address what will constitute, in your mind, an emergency. And please don't say the flood, I'll go through that. Something else. Will always be an act of God. I mean, what if something happened on one of the doctor's teams or whatever? I might not think that's an emergency to get it fixed with the board. I mean, are you going to have 100% of the board agreeing to the emergency?
No, I wouldn't say it would be 100% of the board having to agree. And defining an emergency is pretty tough.
Yeah, it is, but you're asking us to vote to give you guys the power to.
Yeah. Okay. Some kind of a catastrophe, God forbid, a tornado, hurricane, some kind of a damage like that. We actually had determined their act of God, until we were criticized by putting that in there, because that would mean that God does bad things. Seriously.
But that is basically what you're talking about.
So we took that out, okay? But, you know, an emergency is not a tree falling on a fairway or something like that. It is a catastrophic event that we will definitely all recognize, I'm sure.
Okay.
So when that occurs, it gives the board the power to react now as opposed to any kind of a delays like we had in the past.
And would it be like, you would have to borrow a couple of million to be able to fix it like you did with the roads?
Yeah,
That would
it
be the
would
emergency.
be a catastrophic event, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Without saying an act.
Can I add something to that? An emergency is what impacts our community as a whole. But like if something happens on the golf course where green goes up, that's a requirement by the board. We have to get that fixed because that's part of our amenities. So some people get the difference of emergency, meaning, well, you know, the golf course blew out from water, from the water main, you know, something like that. That would not impact our community. It would affect it, yes, but the board is required to make sure that that amenity is taken care of like all the rest of the amenities. So there's a difference in the term emergency and requirement of what we have in our community, so.
Good, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Mr. Oaks?
Well, glad we led into the golf course. Oh, it's great. Came over here this evening, they had the ad on the golf course on Fox News. It's from time to time. You might want to say something before I do. But go ahead, you know. Well, Fox News is the cheapest place to run an ad, and you've got fairways there. It looks like it hasn't rained in a while on the ad. And I was wondering how you're monitoring the cost effectiveness of the thing, how long it's gonna last.
Sure.
Allison?
The ad that you see running.
Go on.
The ad that
Could
you see
you
running.
repeat what the question was?
Yeah, he was, I think the question, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Mr. Oaks, but it was the cost benefit analysis based on a commercial that we're currently running for the golf course complex.
Right.
Sorry, I don't think my mic is working very well, but, we Comcast, because we're with Comcast and they're advertising on Comcast channels. It is actually we get a very good rate from Comcast. And it's not, it doesn't matter whether it's on Fox or if it's on the Golf Channel or the History Channel. And we pay the same amount for that, which is big. In the world of advertising, it's very minimal, so.
Is it drawing people or have any idea
When
how
somebody
many?
does come in, they do ask in the pro shop how they heard about us. And we are getting people outside to play from that ad. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can prepare some numbers for you for next time. I do know that, another thing that has happened, let me go into this just a little bit. One of the first president's reports, I believe it was probably the very first, where I said that we as a board were going to look at each and every pay position within Fairfield to determine whether or not that position was giving back value to the community commensurate with what they were getting from us. We've made 6 major personnel changes since then. 6. And we are seeing a high level of effectiveness in a number of those position changes. Major improvements. Not that it has any connection to what I just said, but we are seeing membership actually increasing in the golf memberships. It's actually started to go up recently. So as far as the cost benefit analysis on that, we can get some numbers, maybe get back to you at the next meeting, be happy to.
It's very hard.
It'd be subjective, it would be tough. But I think maybe we can give you some examples of what's happening to the membership numbers. And maybe there be some correlation there between monies we're spending to advertise and the correlation there. And so, like she said, on Comcast, we do get a really good deal. This is not like we're going out nationally on Fox News and paying for something like that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. You said Mr. Jimenez and his father will be running the country club now, both of them?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You said Mr. Jimenez and his father will be running the country club.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which one would actually be in charge? If we need to ask questions.
My understanding is the father, Daniel.
The father. Oh, the father Daniel, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So Mr. Jimenez, the son, is running the marina.
Primarily, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Now, does that mean you won't ever see him over here? No, it doesn't mean that. You will see him over here.
I just wondered.
But from what he has told us, his father will be the primary manager.
Thank you for telling me.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions before we move into the question and answer? Yes, sir.
Hi, Mike.
Hey,
Just a few questions about the contract on here in Marina. How much is the contract here? What does he pay us to lease this?
money-wise,
Yes.
let's see, monthly. Correct me if I'm wrong. First off, he's gonna pick up approximately $1,800 a month of the electric bill
That was another question I had.
that we're not gonna pay. He picked up $375 for the cable TV. He picked up all the internet. Roughly, counting the amount of the lease, it equates to a little over $5,000 a month.
If you bundled that,
If you bundle it. Yes.
okay. What about,
A savings, and that savings doesn't include operational costs of trying to run the place. You know, the wages for the staff,
right,
food, you know, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't include that. That's just a difference that will be coming in that used to be going out on our end.
do we have the responsibility, let's say the refrigeration goes down, the oven quits, do we replace that 100%?
I think we do. No?
No, he's responsible for all maintenance of anything in the kitchen.
Real?
We're gonna handle the grounds outside, and of course, there's a challenge here because we're sharing the building with our pro shop with him. But yeah, he's gonna be handling all maintenance as far as that goes. And if the air goes out or something like that, we can take care of that. We will soft budget for those kind of repairs, but overall, he's gonna be handling it.
What about the marina? It's the same situation, and how much is that?
I wasn't involved intimately in that. I don't know the details like I do this because I was much more involved with this. I do know that I would say just basically the rough figures I know is probably about a difference of about $3,000 over there a month versus, and that includes electricity,
So
rent.
he picks up some of that over there also?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Covers all the
absolutely.
electricity and everything over there.
And another thing for this contract, this recent contract here, we used a lot of lessons learned from over there, here. And just for instance, all the cameras that are in here and monitor this place, we still got them. They're still linked to us. We watch them. And so we'll have a much better handle on what's going on in here. Because we don't have any cameras on the inside of the marina. We will here. The negotiations went back and forth for 4 weeks. And brought it to the board brought ideas, we went back. This went back and forth, back and forth. I would not have voted for it if I didn't think it was a good deal. Because honestly, when it was brought up a year ago, I voted against it. When we were gonna send out an RFP, I voted against it. Because I wanted to see if we could generate money here. We gave it a heck of a try. A lot of people did. But even out of the last 4 months, 2 of them, we've had the highest intake this country club has ever had. We still lost money. The best month, we lost $17,000. That's unacceptable. This board unanimously said that's unacceptable. So that's why we went in another direction.
Thank you for the
As a matter
information.
of fact, last time, the board was, some of these same people on the board, that we put it out for RFP, we discussed all the same things. And we felt then, and Mike wasn't here, I've been here a couple of years and seen the decline of what y'all are having to put into the club and hearing all the complaints. And we put it out for RFP a couple of times, and we couldn't get any takers. And I believe there's certain reasons why we got one this time, cosmetically, equipment-wise and so forth. But I feel it's gonna be a good thing for the community. It's gonna free up quite a bit of money that we can throw into other places like the rec center, that really need repair.
Really need.
And by the way, that is, we've had our last planning meeting last Thursday. We decided that is our #1 priority with the money. Fix the rec center.
You'll see an improvement over there quick. And, we're gonna have a meeting over there, so it'll be the first thing you see, so. I know we'll hear any backlash from it, but we also, here's a positive comments coming from it also. So, I don't think anybody on the board has any personal agendas. I don't have any money invested in here other than y'all. I mean, I pay my assessments. I don't make any profits in it. I'm here to volunteer, and I got another year, one more year. And I think a lot of us are in that boat, so thank you for your support. That means a lot. That means a whole lot. That means a whole lot to us individually.
Yep, I agree. Bill?
Signage. Does the board have the right of first refusal on any signage that they want to put up, whether it's lit or bright or whatever? Is it going to be aesthetically pleasing or?
That's a good question. Right now, his intentions are, he's not going to change any signage. He's changing nothing cosmetic. Yes, sir.
Will he have the right to change the hours and days that this is open?
He will.
Because
Yes, sir, he will.
that's another reason why they lose money.
He's a businessman. He's going to do what makes him money.
Okay.
If they're leasing this, how long is that lease good for?
This lease is good for 3 years with potential renewal.
Okay.
But we don't take any money off of the money he makes, right?
We do not. No, we don't get a percentage. No percentage.
But we're also not responsible for paying any overhead that he has too, so that's gonna be, he's got skin in the game.
Any more? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, question, this has to do with the recreation center. Will we have an opportunity to see the design renovation
Yes, ma'am.
prior to it?
Let me tell you what's going on with that right now. We have already started looking into, if we're figuring out how much money this is going to save us, how much money that we'll have potentially to make improvements over there. We've got an engineering firm, as a matter of fact, there's a couple of them, and contractors that are looking into it, giving us ideas. When we decide, when we get a generalized idea of where we're going to go with it, then we'll put that out to the community and let y'all see it, and then give us your feedback. Then we won't just go, oh yeah, just feel that. No. That doesn't impact employees. As I said, the reason that the country club, this new contract, was kept quiet for a while, if it fell through, the last thing we wanted was our employees thinking that, hey, they're out there trying to sell the country club, or they're out there trying to market the country club, so why should I work here? I'm just going to leave. We didn't want that, and we didn't want them to hear something that wasn't true, like, oh, he's going to fire every one of them. No, the last numbers I remember, we had 23 employed there, and he was going to hire 19. And some of ours were getting ready to go back to school. So I think most of them there will be offered an employment with him, whether they choose to take it or not. That's totally an individual decision. Any more? Yes, sir.
Does anybody have any
kind of guess at how many more people out would have to live out here in order for the golf course and the marina to pay for itself. You know, right now I can see you want to keep losses in line, but you don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish.
Well, right now, the marina, we're making money on the marina. Whereas years ago, we were losing chunks of money on the marina. And now we're not making a lot on the marina, but we got something over there that a lot of people choose to patronize. And it's not costing us anything. We are making a small amount. As far as the golf course, there's not very many golf courses I know that aren't subsidized some way or another. And we do subsidize it. And I'm not a golf player, but part of my POA fee subsidized golf. And we can go back and we have made some looks and some studies of what happens to property values if a golf course community shuts down their golf course. It's very detrimental to property value. So yes, we subsidize it, but it also helps keep our property values elevated. The golf course right now, Heather just ran the numbers real quick, and to this point, the golf course has cost us year to date $2,000.
That's a tremendous difference.
Oh, that's 4 years ago.
So we're making inroads there. We're making inroads, and we'll double check those numbers. Yes, ma'am.
Even though I attended the meeting that you called, several people here, many people here do not. And perhaps it would be helpful if you repeated what you told us at that meeting about how our country club is not going to be a reflection of the marina.
Right, okay. She's referring to when we brought the card players, the Mexican trained players, the American Legion, all the people that use the club. We brought them in, I believe it was 10:30 that day, to talk to them, to let them know what was coming, how it would impact them. There was a major concern that was expressed that there was people that didn't like the atmosphere of the marina. That was one of the things that we addressed early on in negotiations, was we didn't want the Marine Country Club to become Marina 2. And I think the best way to explain that in the fact that it's probably not going to go that direction, he told us it wasn't going to go that direction, is it's going to be run by his father. We've seen the menu. It's a much better level of dining than the marina. He doesn't intend to change the decor. It's not going to change into a sports bar. He intends to make it a finer level of dining, is what he told us. Now, with that said, will he go where the dollar is? Sure he will. He's a businessman. That's why we need to get in here and support what we want. Because if you want it to stay sedate, calm, not without a bunch of drunks coming in and out the door all the time, then patronize him. Come in here and spend some money. Keep him in business. That's where he's going to go. He's going to follow the dollar. And that's where it's best for us if we help make him a success. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to know how soon the marina lease is up to where you can renegotiate to bring that level up to where you say the country club is going to be.
Okay, the marina lease was negotiated last year, wasn't it, for a 3-year lease? So there should be, what, 1 year left? Coming up on 1 year left. Now, last time when we negotiated the lease, and we did a lot of amendments because there were some things going over there that we weren't happy about. So we did some amendments to his when he renewed. We also raised his rent, the maximum that was allowed by the previous lease. And our hands are tied on how much we can increase it because of a lease that was signed 4 years ago now, 5 years ago? 2014. So, but we have been increasing the maximum amount allowed. And that's, if I'm around, we're gonna keep doing it. Any more? Good. It's been
You know, I don't go over there late at night, but I understand there are drunks that are leaving there and driving. If they were to have a wreck and kill someone, would this POA be responsible in a lawsuit because we lease it to them and we know what's going on? The lawyer can answer that, I don't.
Generally speaking, no, but the person serving could be liable. We're not liable because we're not over there serving drinks.
So it'd be the server and who leases this,
The
like,
server and the manager are the two people. So really, it's going to be that entity, the corporation.
okay. I just wondered, because I keep hearing about drunk driving, which, you know, could affect all of us.
Yeah, that's true. It is, and that's a concern of ours as well. It is. Any more? That's fine. Why don't y'all ask the candidate something? All right. Gonna bring them up here?
And, the current council, so we have a seat in the audience, and then they come and stay in here, and then the candidates that are running, if you'll come up front and have a seat right on this.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
How you doing? I don't need to see it here. I don't have it
We're closing. The meeting is going to be at the school
September 21st.
September the 21st.
Registration starts at 9, and then the actual meeting starts at 10.
And that is the annual
Meeting, yes,
annual
meeting.
that's what it's called.
Yes, sir.
Annual meeting. Don't we vote for
Yeah, you can either vote then or you can vote tonight.
They said something about picking up a packet by the 23rd.
Well, now, we've already mailed out the annual meeting packet, and we've mailed out the DOR vote packet. We just mailed them out last week.
Okay, I'm not sure.
You may not have gotten them yet.
Okay, if we don't get one,
Come by the office.
come by the office.
That are, missing tonight, Brown, wife is not feeling well, it will stay home with her. Dennis Brown is not here tonight. Maureen Walsh, is attending a family celebration out of state tonight, and she was not able to come. She did say that, it's important to her to field any of your questions. So if you're interested, she's on all of the social media sites, send her a direct message and she'll respond back to you, either her, or if you email or send her your phone number, she'll call you, or she'll email or direct message you back. So. And the way this will work is, I'm just gonna go straight down the line. I think we've got 2 more questions than we do candidates, so I'll just start with Tiffany, because she's the closest, and we're just gonna go straight down the line. Each person's gonna have the opportunity to start one question, but each person's gonna get the opportunity to answer each question. So the first question, I'll ask Tiffany, and then Heather will have a chance to answer, and we'll go down the line, and then the second question I have will start with Heather. Is everybody understand? Okay. And each candidate will have exactly 2 minutes to answer, and I will time it. So once I read the question, I'll start the timer. So. All right.
Mike looks like a proud dad right here in the front.
Okay. So the first question is tell us about a successful team that you were part of and what exactly was your role in the success of the project or team.
I think, this board is very successful. This has been the best board, and we work really well together. We've accomplished a lot. We may not always like each other. We may not always understand, but we always respected each other, and we always, I like the way we were able to communicate with each other. We can agree to disagree, and we always walked away knowing that we made the right decision for the community. Having said that, I also like volunteering with a lot of different groups that I'm with. I'm sorry, the name just escapes me right now. So I'm the community relations, sorry. That was a great committee. It had a lot of things that were going on, a lot of plates were spinning, and the music was getting faster and faster as the day went on. It was a great committee. It was a great day, and a lot of people got involved, and I love the way the community all came together. So that's what I would have to say.
Heather, being the mayor for the position. Okay. So I am the liaison for the lot management committee. I feel like we've done a really good job moving lots. I can't take the credit for that though. I know that the question was to take, what have you been a part of? I've been a part of it, but I can't take the credit for that committee. Our in-house counsel, both previous and current, our general manager, and then the group that we have on that committee has done a tremendous job with ideas, with putting what we want out there. We have several realtors on the committee, so they can tell us what's in, what's out, those type things. So I can't take the credit, but that's probably one of the most important aspects that I've been a part of while being on the board.
Two things come to mind. There was a need in my life to step up when one of my children was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, and we researched it. We found out it was something called an intrinsic optic glioma, and it was passed down through a mutant gene that just hit us and just kind of took the wind out of our sails. But there was nothing going on in the state of Georgia, and I started a chapter of the National Neurofibromatosis Foundation, later turned into the Children's Tumor Foundation. Over a period of 14 years, we grew from doing more garage sales and cookie sales than you can ever imagine in your whole life. To this point now, we're serving 1,400 kids throughout the Southeast United States through Scottish Rite. We have a special clinic that's been organized through the geneticist that I became very, very good friends with, Dr. Paul Fernhoff from Emory University, head of genetics. I think that was probably, I saw a need. My wife and I jumped out and did it, and I bring the same type of commitment to my position here. Thank you.
I've been on the board for about 1.5 years, 2 years. I was on the PCC prior to this. And I have to admit, this is not a one-man show. This is a group of individuals that give a lot of their time. Every day we come up with a different issue. This is black and white, folks. Every day we find out somebody didn't get their sandwich there in 20 minutes, or the road is bumping the road. Every day we're confronted with some type of barrier or concern. And each one of those concerns involve individuals. Some people play golf, some people don't play golf. Why do we put money in the golf course when I go swimming? So every day, every week, every month, this board that we see here has to confront those issues. Not everybody agrees. I don't agree sometimes, but we have to have some kind of unity, and we have to have some kind of decisive decision to please the group, please the crowd. And I applaud the board that we have right now, because we've done a lot of work. We made a lot of accomplishments behind closed doors. Unfortunately, you see what's on Facebook. I'm not used to that. I'm used to sitting across the table with somebody and debating what we need to debate. But again, this is not a one-man show, so anything that I may have done, may have not done, it's a part of a team effort, and that's all I have to say.
So I'll talk about a volunteer activity I did at Georgia Tech. I volunteered to do an assist with the sea perch competition, which is a competition for middle school students. They design and build underwater robotics and run through obstacle courses and things like that. We decided to try and host the competition at Georgia Tech, and I volunteered to help out with that, setting up, planning, organizing. So we did a regional competition and hosted the school kids, and we put on different displays, science displays for them. And it went off really, really well. And we ended up getting the national sea perch competition. So then we hosted that as well. And I did judging for that. And again, that went off really well. It was great to see the kids have so much fun. And you know, it's just good to be part of something like that.
Allison, would you ask anybody just to introduce themselves?
Yes.
Some places are familiar to a lot of people in here, but some places may not.
I apologize, that's my fault. If you guys could go right down the line and just introduce yourself.
I'm Tiffany
Becker.
I'm Heather Collins.
Bill Himes?
Alan Lucas. Shane Wynn.
Sorry. Okay, the next question, I will start with Heather. Please explain in detail your idea of transparency. Everybody talks about it, but I want to know your definition of board transparency.
When I think board transparency, I think anything that we are legally able to tell. Obviously, you know, there's been issues in the past where people are asking questions about personnel and things like that, and those are just details we can't get into. Sometimes I know it gets monotonous, I feel like, going over the numbers, because people don't always understand what I'm always saying as the treasurer. But I'd be happy to sit down with anybody, and anybody can go up to the POA office and see any of the numbers anytime, and sit down with the general manager, Dakota, anybody, to, you know, have those questions answered. But I think it's the legal line that we get to where some people think that we're not being transparent, that we can't cross.
This issue was very big in Fairfield probably 4 or 5 years ago, because it seemed like there was an aura created that board members were getting rich from doing this thing. So whether they were getting kickbacks and bribes and trips to France, who knows? And that kind of like piqued my curiosity a couple of years ago about how we handle things. My background is strictly, for many, many years until recently, it has always been finance. So I've always been a controller, corporate credit manager of companies, $500 million companies. So we were always treated with transparency, just your way of doing business. You lay things out, you do the old analyze things as they are, assets and liabilities. Hopefully, then you get a profit. So you just do things in a set financial way. In addition to that, if you're torn between what you're going to do, if there's an ethical thing to do, I would always do the old Ben Franklin balance sheet. Reasons why we should, reasons why we shouldn't, and you draw a line. And that'll tell you clear cut if you're doing the right thing, if your heart's in the right place, and if you're doing the right thing for your company or for your community. So I treat it as an accounting function. So it's release the numbers that are there. As Heather said, you know, certain things are a little bit touchy that we can't release, but everything else, ask away. And we all would love it if people would come to the meetings and challenge us there. Because too many times we come to these meetings here when we're talking about the budget, talking about what are we going to do with our cap budget for the year, how are we going to address our reserves, and there's 12 people here out of 1,700 homes. So is it our job to go ahead and do it? Yeah, I think it is. I think there's a way to motivate people to get them out involved because everybody's involved. Not just complain because your hamburger was 20 minutes late or you don't like where a stop sign's positioned. This is your equity. So this is where you need to follow up on. Transparency.
Well, I think you said it all. One of my comments for the last 6 months, coming to a POA meeting, I'm sorry folks, I have to laugh when I'm talking to 9 people out there. out of 1,800 families. This is a community, and we've got to have community spirit. So if people want to know exactly what goes on here, of course we can't tell you everything. There are some privacy issues, but we certainly can answer questions. If we can't answer the questions, we'll get back with you. But the problem is, this is the most people I've ever seen. It's amazing. And I would have bet we were going to have maybe 6 or 7 people, and probably half of that was my relatives. So the point is, I think that's one of the issues when people talk about transparency. Get off of Facebook and attend the meetings. It's simple. It's simple.
Okay, so transparency to me, I think definitely need to do a better job on. And let me explain. Recently, I asked the staff to provide committee meeting minutes and to provide a list of all the variances and details on the variances. They wouldn't turn them over. I pointed them to the governing documents and said, hey, this is where it says members need to have access to these things. No response. So my idea is maybe we need to take all the records that residents and members should have access to, and we post them in the member portal, and then take the discretion away. Give people access to what they should have access to. As far as meetings, I understand people are busy, can't necessarily attend all the time. We have some great online tools, and the videos are being posted online, but we have great online tools to collaborate where we can include people who can't attend meetings. So I think there's opportunities there.
I would agree with almost what everybody has said here, and I don't really have much more to add other than I feel like we've done a pretty good job. We've gotten better and better. Of course, we can do better and better as a group and as a community. And I've always tried to be respectful, and I sometimes feel that maybe the hard decisions had to be made, and you know, we made the decisions because we were voted and elected to make those decisions. And we all came into it with, you know, with ideas of how we wanted to improve our community. And so, I mean, I've always tried to be as honest as possible, sometimes to a fault. And sometimes I can't always say the right thing or maybe say it the right way. I mean, I'm just kind of just say what I mean and mean what I say. And sometimes it's not as well received, but I feel like we've done a pretty good job, but there's always room for improvement.
Okay. All right, the next question, I'll start with Bill. Given the growth of our community, more homes, more cars, more families, children, walkers, joggers, and pets, what are your thoughts regarding the current speed limit, which is 35, and possible solutions for safety?
Well, I think I have a lot of ideas about the growth of our community and how to manage it. That was one of the notes I made about addressing a 1-year plan and a 3-year plan and a 5-year plan. Your question bodes well into all those topics that I wrote down. I think the speed limit is something that needs to be lowered. Right now, we're at 35. 35 means, well, if you're out on I-20, 65 means 75. So everybody in here, a lot of people in here think that 35 means 45. So I would be in favor of moving it down to, pick an odd number that you see in a lot of subdivisions, 24 miles an hour. So it piques somebody's curiosity, gets their interest, and maybe gets them to slow down. We would just hate to have a child or a jogger. I have a lot of friends that jog and run. God bless them, on Lakeview, and they've all told me on numerous occasions they had to dive off the side of the road to stop them getting hit. So who knows what it could have been if it was just a foot or two difference. So I'm all for watching out, working with public safety, keeping it safe, and lowering the speed zone.
Well, here comes another topic that has been on my mind for a long time because we live off of Lakeview. I'm not sure, I disagree or agree with lowering the speed limit. If we lower it to 15, they'll go 30 or 40 or 50. I think the key to this is enforcement. How do we enforce it is a different issue. I know we talked about a lot of different things. We talked about cameras, we talked about speed bumps, we talked about bringing in more spa employees. I don't know if there is an answer. We've been working on it, we've been thinking about it, we talk about it. We all see the problems in the streets all the time. But I wish I could sit here and say, well, we should do this and do this, but I'm not sure I have the answer right now. I think it's going to be something that we have to think about and get input from the residents and what they feel we should do. People are against speed bumps, people are against cameras. Spot can't be in every place at every one time. So if somebody has an answer, please give your input. But right now, I just don't have an answer. Lowering the speed limit, I'm not too sure that it helps.
Yeah, I'm skeptical that changing the speed limit will have much of an impact. But, hey, I'm a data-driven guy. Show me the evidence and I'll change my mind, maybe. Speed bumps, that'll stop speeding, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know that that's what we need, but if we have to stop speeding, that would stop.
I'm part of the committee of the community control, and that's another great committee that I'm involved in here. And that committee takes the violations very, very serious, and they work long and hard. And we have several people that get tickets or whatever, whether it's going through a stop sign or speeding or something. And the committee listens to what needs to be said and thinks about it and makes a decision and decides whether that person that is, I'm sorry, my brain is, I'm a little tired, but, when they come in and, Appeal, yes, thank you so much, I'm sorry, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it, I'm sorry. When they come in and appeal, and they listen to what has to be said. They're a very fair committee. And it's one of the things that, I don't know if it's going to be more, enforcing. The committee, as well as the board, stand behind SPA. And, but it's also self-awareness. I mean, I don't know why you just can't pick up your trash or follow the speed limit. I don't know what it is. I mean, this is your community, and it is a little frustrating that people just don't take a concern. I mean, you don't let trash in your own yard, but you're just going to throw out the trash as you drive by. It's just, I don't know if it's self-awareness. It's frustrating. Adding more spa, more cameras, all that thing, those take money. That takes a lot of money. I wish I could win $1 million and donate it, but it takes a lot of money, and sometimes we just need to be a little more self-aware and more respectful of each other in the community that we live in. And I don't know how we can do that. I don't know, but it'd be nice if we can work on that.
So again, like a few have said, I wouldn't lower the speed limit because whatever you lower it to, people are still going to drive faster than what the speed limit is. I think enforcement is the key. We've increased speeding fines, so we'll see how that works, if that works. Maybe we can run some statistics to see if that has been working or not. I did want to address a few things that we have thought of is when it comes to walkers and joggers and bikers and things like that. I know the board has looked a little bit into increasing the sidewalks in the community so they would have more places to be able to do those activities safely. And then as far as, I know you mentioned speed bumps, we have looked at that area, but the cost with speed bumps, but not only that, how it would hinder our safety vehicles and the time for our safety vehicles to get where they need to go. I know a few of the speed bumps we looked at did not work with the safety vehicles that we have. They would bottom out some of the speed humps. So we have looked at different alternatives and we'll continue looking at different alternatives. But as of now, I don't think lowering the speed limit is gonna help the speeders that are already going over the speed limit.
This next one, I'll start with Alan. How many years have you lived in Fairfield Police Station?
Yeah, personally,
Well,
2.5, about 2.5 years, going on 3 years. That was simple.
Time limit.
I moved in March of 2000, so what, almost 20 years now?
It'll be 5 years, this month, August 28th, 5 years.
7.5 years.
Bought a house about 9.5 years, moved in it about a year later, so I've been here about 8.5 years. He even wrote down the answer, he had 2.5 right
This one's for Shane. How do you think you can be a better board member than what we have?
Yeah, actually, seriously. It's important to know the governing documents and follow them. And for the board, you have a responsibility to enforce them. I don't think the board really should take much discretion. I know legally, the board probably does have discretion, but I think ethically, the governing documents should be followed to a T.
Well, I know that, I jumped into it with both feet when I came on board, and I right away went into being the secretary with my first term. And I know that I could be better at knowing more reading up on the documents and stuff like that. Sometimes I don't get a chance to read the documents or whatever until it's, until the issue is ahead of me, and then I kind of, research it and go back into the history. So I guess for myself, it's just getting, knowing our documents better. I mean, I think we all know that.
I'm a current board member, so I think it would be bad of me to say that I can be better than what I am right now. Because I feel like the board we have has made some really good progress. We've done some really good things. We always have critics, but every board's gonna have that. I think the people that have been board members in the past, and the current board members that we even have that thought that they could do better, they get on the board and they see what the day-to-day is, and they're like, they stop in their tracks, because you don't see what it is until you're immersed in it. I think we've done a really good job. Can we always improve? Absolutely. So that's with anybody, any job, any board.
The first thing I did when I announced that I was going to run was I went ahead and I got copies of all the rules and regulations, and I've been reading them and reading them and reading them. I know our current president knows them backwards and forwards. This is not my first position that I'm hoping to get on a board. That first accomplishment I talked about, another accomplishment was where I ran a subdivision over in West Cobb County. So I started off as president. We had to take over for the developer, wound up being president for 4 years. They kept electing me because nobody else would do it. And then I served on the good part, which was the architectural control. Let's face it, folks, in my opinion, our property values here are flat compared to what they should be.
Yes.
And I think if we improve across the board on everything and we operate smart, ethically, and with a good team that we have, I think those property values will take care of itself. And when you do that, all these other things should fall into place. So follow the rules, have a good plan, and I think the future is bright. Thank you.
It's, it's not easy being a board member here, folks. It really isn't. I ran a company, and that was easy compared to this. There are obstacles, concerns, barriers that come up every single day that I wasn't prepared for 23 years ago in business. I listen to this board. We go to the meetings, and I listen to what they say. And sometimes I stir the pot. I ask too many questions. But the point is that we have a general consensus that we want to do what's best for Fairfield. Do we always agree? No. But do we always come up with a general consensus that's good for the community? Yes. I don't think anybody that I know of can do any better than what we have on this board right now. The point is that it's a difficult job. If you think it's a once a month job, it's not. I can tell you, board members get 3 or 4 emails a day. I know 3 or 4 board members that we travel during the week, going to the country club, to the green, to the rec center. It's not an everyday, once a month job. It really isn't. If I got paid for it, I'd want a company car and 401k. So the point is, it's not easy. It's difficult. And anybody that's on this board understands it. Before we moved into this community, they warned me, don't get on the board. You'll find out things are very difficult, and they are. And so I applaud everybody that takes their time to get on the board, and takes their time to do things that are right. That's it.
Okay, this next question is kind of a combination of 2 questions that are very similar. We're going to start with Tiffany. What committees have you served on? Did you chair any committee? And if none, how have you contributed to Fairfield?
Let's see. Let's turn it off. Okay. I was on food and beverage, recreation, community relations, lot management, and community patrol. I've been on the board for 3 years now, so I'm running again for my 2nd term. I've only lived here 5 years, so I was not really involved per se in any of the committees, because they were just kind of still getting started and stuff like that. With food and beverage, so that was one of the ones that I was on right away. I did not chair any of them because I was on the board and I couldn't share. So.
I've been a part of the recreation committee, lot management, and the budget and finance. I've been on the board for 5 years. I took over someone else's term, and then I was voted on approximately 3 years ago. I have been treasurer as well as secretary as well. I have not been the chairperson for any of the committees, only the liaison. That whole question? Yeah. So yeah, recreation, lot management, and then budget and finance.
I served on the the Food and Beverage Committee, and I also served on something near and dear to me, the Finance Committee. I can't get enough of numbers, I'm sorry. I also applied for an open position on the board 4 to 5 years ago, and I felt like I didn't get the position because I talked about some of these things that we talked about tonight, about finance, transparency, and openness. So I'll try again.
I was on the PCC committee. Got to see the other side of the decision process. I was on the Greens committee. Boy, you got me in that committee. Boy, now let me tell you, talk to the golfers someday. And community enhancement. And each one of those committees, they had a tremendous amount of volunteers that did an excellent job. So again, it was a team effort.
I have not served on a committee before, but I have served on the NGA board for 1 year. Men's Golf Association.
Last question that I have. Start with you, Heather. What do you know about the corporate structure of the POA?
Thank you. I'm glad she said, I'm glad you're starting. I mean, the corporate structure of the POA is unlike any other, to me. The POA is just something where everyone has to work together. No one has like set things that they have to do because everyone has to be a part of it. Everyone answers the phone when it's busy. Everyone is a part of everything. So they have knowledge of everything going on. There's certain people that make the decisions, certain people that give the instructions and things like that. But everyone has a general overview of what's going on so everybody can be in sync with each other.
Well said by Heather. Just follow the chain of command, I guess. Go from your presidents, vice presidents, senior vice presidents, on down to treasurer, secretary. So I've been around that for many, many years. So I'm used to the chain of command and think I would work well within that framework. I don't think our board of directors and the way we line things up is any different than businesses or other POAs around Georgia. So no problem.
I treat our structure as I would treat a business. The board of directors is responsible governing body for this community. And then we have an individual as our general manager, and we have our council. Then we have other managers within the various departments, all interacting together. So there's different layers, but basically the two top layers are still the board of directors and the general manager. And I think we have a tremendous relationship, how we put things together, and I think it works very well. It's worked very well for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say about it. Like you said, we have the board of directors at the top and general manager, and then we have the staff. Maybe I understand a little bit about the governing documents. There's a hierarchy to all that. At the top is the Georgia nonprofit laws and codes. Below that, we have the articles of incorporation. And then under that, we have the declaration of restrictions, bylaws, and rules and regulations. And I guess that's about it.
I really don't have much more to add, other than, we have a good group right now, and, the board of directors, Allison, who's really taken charge, and, also, now, Laney falls under Allison's review and stuff like that, so we have a great group, everybody pulls together, that's what I've noticed. It's what I've noticed in this entire community, all the 5 years that I've lived here, we all pull together. The same goes for the POA. When someone's sick, they answer the phones. It doesn't matter. So we all pull together. Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
You might die.
But whatever they said too.
Do you have a statement from any of the candidates that aren't here? Do you need to read?
I didn't have anything, I just briefed over what Maureen sent me. This was the last minute candidates anticipated on being here tonight.
Okay. A couple things. First, thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it. I'm really glad to see this much interest in our community. You've got some tough decisions. You've got some big candidates up here. And I think it's up to you now, who you on the board. What happened is some people came in that wanted to ask some questions, and instead of filling out on the sheet, they dropped the questions into the box, thinking that it was for the board, but it was actually for the candidates. So I've been given those. I'm going to go through these real quick. First question was, are DOR changes going to be line voted on each item for the variance? I don't think so.
The answer is no. Our attorney in Atlanta, George Nowak, who is a HOA expert for the state of Georgia, recommended we not do it that way. He said most HOAs don't do line item. It's all or nothing, because the whole thing is tied together. So, all or nothing.
Okay, next one, POA board signed a contract without open discussion, country club, where's the transparency we promised? I think I've gone into that in detail, and sometimes timeliness is of the essence. We put as much out there as we possibly can and still get business done. You elect us, you're gonna elect somebody right here. You elect us to do your business, so choose wisely. Okay, we need to avoid the appearance of nepotism by modifying the bylaws to include hiring family members to the board and POA positions. Do you agree? No, I don't agree with that. And the reason being is, if I can save this community $120,000 and improve the capabilities by hiring a family member, I'll do it. This one, would you consider changing bylaws so that board members may not hire relatives to waive contracts to other firms, although no nepotism on the board? For those of you that don't know, let me explain this. When we hired a new general counsel, Lonnie, she is related to Barry Gardner. Barry didn't even know she had applied to start with. When he found out, he immediately recused himself from any decisions regarding that action, immediately. And anytime that was discussed, he left the room. So there was no influence there. What was influential to the board was the fact that it's going to end up saving this community in the neighborhood of $100,000 to $120,000 this year, and we improved our capabilities. I'd make the same decision again. That's it, folks. Thank you.
That's it, Lisa.